Hello guys, welcome back once more again to the MikeMoney Fx trading platform expert Roborex, and I want to say a happy new year to all my subscribers, clients, prospective clients, and those who have been following my videos to learn from this channel. So of recent, I've had a lot of calls, messages, requests, and inquiries by both clients and prospective clients on how to build a Forex robot. First of all, I would say the business of building a Forex robot is a complete career of its own. So don't get it twisted. It might take you 3 to 4 to 5 years to build an effective Forex trading robot independently before you're able to build a robot that can make significant profit in the market, what I call high profit trading robots with very low risk. That's the gospel truth. But as we have it, I've decided to open up 2 new courses for this year. Open up one course on intermediate robot development course and also advanced robot development course. But the videos I'll be dropping on YouTube, possibly on weekly basis or monthly basis, will be free or fundamentals on how you can easily get this done. So, like I said, the courses that I will set up, the paid courses, the intermediates, will help you build a robot that can at least make profit that is sustainable, a robot that is sustainable in the Forex market. But if you want to create top-notch robots that will do extraordinary performance in the Forex market, then you need the advanced robot development course. With that, you can hack a lot of brokers like I do. So there are 2 major approaches to this kind of business. Don't forget, I said that robot development is a career of its own. So not everybody will have the time to venture into this. It's not just a day's job, except you just want to build a routine robot. Or if you intend to build a robot that will perform extraordinarily well in the Forex market, you need to take this up like a career. There are 2 major approaches. We have the one with coding and without coding. Yes, the 2 major approaches are unique. I always advise a lot of students to start up with the coding, have a good knowledge, have a good understanding about the coding aspect before you go into the one without coding. Because if you are able to code, even if you cannot code high level language programming robots, yes, you'll be able to understand how to easily manage the one without coding. I mean, you'll be able to build a very effective robot even in a day or few minutes. But for you to get to that level where you build a robot that can generate profit instantly within few minutes or just in a day, you have to start with this, with coding. Now with coding, it's kind of very stressful and difficult. So basically, I'll only show you few and very few strategies. But when it comes to strategies that will help you develop highly sustainable trading systems, we'll do that in our paid classes. Yes, with that you can build a robot that will do well in the market. But with this knowledge, it's not good enough to use this knowledge as a form of financial advice. Please and please, I will repeat myself, it's not good to use this knowledge that is free, and I will share free, as a form of financial advice. robot development is very deep. There are a lot of aspects you need to understand to effectively build a good and high profit sustainable trading robot. Okay, so let's get started with coding. So with coding, we use an environment called the MQL4 or the MQL5 or the MT4 and MT5 respectively, and without coding, we use a different environment altogether. So let's get started. Now, what do we need to build a Forex robot? Yes, they are steps. There is a sequence of procedures required to build a very effective and good profit generating robot. This is actually a very generic method, or you call it a generic sequence of procedures required to build an effective trading robot. As you can see, that the first thing is to define the strategy, because whenever you see a robot, the robot is actually implementing a manual trading strategy. Yes, the concept of building a robot is just translating a manual trading strategy to what? To a digital software that will repeat the same strategy, but in this case, trading to make profit. Because a lot of people can build robots, but they fail to understand that building an effective robot is far beyond just coding. And this is the very reason why a lot of the time, people who are successful in this kind of business are not those who are just programmers. They are also good traders, very good traders, or people who have been opportuned to come across very reliable Forex trading strategies. So you have to give a visual definition, a pictorial definition of the strategy, and it has to be very, very precise. The next thing is you have to translate it into a workflow. Yes, there's a workflow that's required. When you now understand this workflow, when you're working with the process without coding, you can get it done in less than 20 or 30 minutes, and the robot is trading fantastically. Yes, that is very important. The next thing is to define the kind of parameters you want the robot to take in. Use those parameters to carry out certain calculations. Use those calculations to predict next market moves, and after predicting the next market move, telling it the kind of trading parameters to use for you to secure your profits. The next thing you need to do is, before you actually design the logics, yes, before you fully design the logic, is there a pre-trading condition? Yes, are you looking at something else? Are you looking at the condition that needs to be initiated before you actually look at the logic? This is very, very important, because sometimes you can build a robot that is trading based on the candle formation, or is trading based on the micro movement of the market, which is the ticks, the tick movement of the market. Also, you can have what is called the programming trading strategy. So in this case, you are building the logic, and you have to do this with high accuracy. So this is where a lot of problems come in when people build robots. They fail to build it with high accuracy. When I build a robot for you, which I rarely do because I already have good number of robots, you realize that the exact point to take the trade is very, very precise. It doesn't fail that point more than 2 or 3 seconds. Yes, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And this is because I'm able to build the logic with exact precision. Now the next thing is you need to build into it what is called the trading conditions, or what is called conditions of trading. So you have to define, okay, what will be your lot size, what will be your take profit and your stop loss and things like that. But the question is that all? No. If you have not defined what is called the trade manager, yes, there is supposed to be a part of the robot that will manage a trade when it is opened. So if you are busy, if you have traveled, or if you are fully engaged for the day, it can still effectively manage all the trades and you have nothing to worry about. So if you fail to put this aspect into place, it will be difficult for you to make sustainable profit. Now, I've seen a robot that doesn't even have a high trading accuracy, but because this trade manager was properly built, especially to take advantage of the unique advantage of that broker, that robot performs extraordinarily well. Like, I've seen it raise very small accounts to very, very big accounts. And this is the essence of having a well-designed trade manager added to your robots. So this is a generic method of building a simple robot. It's actually more than this. Now, what are the added? What are the additional properties? You can add things like the expiring date. You can add a password to lock it up, which means you need a password. You can even lock it such that when it is cracked, it is still encrypted. So to de-encrypt it will be very difficult. And you can also lock it to a specific account type, maybe demo, or maybe live account, or maybe to a specific broker. You can lock a robot to a specific broker. You can lock it to a specific account ID number, like I do most of the times when people buy my robot. I lock it to that specific account ID, so you use another account, it's going to work, so that is a very good possibility. These are additional properties you can add up to your robot and you make it your own, your personal property. So I showed you the generic method. There is the advanced method. Now, I remember building a robot that was last week. One of my boys that works with me, he translated a strategy that he discovered in the market. So we decided to test it. Yes, the robot picked trade the first day. The second day is not picking trade. Third day is not picking trade. So I had to contact my mentors. I have 3 different mentors. I have an Indian, a German, and also a Russian. I have 3 mentors in this business, people who helped me or brought me or gave me the best understanding of what robots can do. Now, after I consulted my professionals, it's quite unfortunate we could not realize that problem, but I was able to realize it because I understood the micro movement of the market. So I used one of the concepts of the micro movement of the market to make slight adjustments, and that robot is working perfectly well. So you can see that sometimes when it comes to building a robot, it's just beyond strategies. There are unique acts you can know about the market. You can actually translate it or code it, add it up to a robot that is not doing well, and that robot begins to perform like magic. I've done that not once, not twice, not thrice. So you can give me a strategy, for instance, and when I add up some coding market hacks, I will improve the performance of that robot. And it can also be called robot optimization. So I can help you to improve the performance of a robot, and the robot that is making 1% can begin to make 10% profit in a day. This is the advantage of robot development skill. This is the unique advantage. So this is the aspect that a lot of people don't have. So 80% of the time when I build a robot for a client, I make sure, number 1, your robot is profit making. No matter what, it will make profit. The number 2, I have optimized the robot such that it will always keep you in a very low risk and high profit. These are unique skills. These 2 major skills is what differentiates a programmer in this business from the person who makes profit in this same business. So on this particular lecture today, we shall carry out some basic practicals. Number 1, I will build a simple robot using MA crossing. Yes, and also I will introduce you to the coding environment, and I'll also introduce you to the non-coding environment, and you can use both of them to build the same robot and have the same effectiveness. Alright, let's get started. So first of all, before I take you into the coding environment, I want you to have a good understanding of what a candle signifies. Now, a lot of people see candles. This is what you see when you look at the market. You always see something like this, which is called a candle. But the question is, what does this signify? So this is MT4 trading platform. For instance, what I have there here is USD JPY. So like I said earlier, this, when you look at the trading market, you see candles. So let me use the exact let me use exactly what we have over there. So whenever you look at a trading chart or a market chart, basically, what you're seeing is candles. You can see all these candles. Let me go to 1 minute time frame. For instance, you can see candles. So what do these candles signify? It's good to understand what these candles signify first before you think of building a robot. It's very important so you can have a total understanding of how the robot performs or how it works. So realize on the chart we have red candles. Now, what do those red candles signify? Red candles signify the downward movement of the market. Now, when you see a candle represents a cumulative average micro movement of the market over a period of time. For instance, when you're looking at a 1 minute candle like this, for instance, if this is a 1 minute candle, this is actually a 1 minute candle. On a 1 minute candle, you're looking at the average cumulative micro movement of the market in 1 minute, in just 1 minute time frame. So in 1 minute time frame, you can have the market go up, it moves down, moves, comes down from that level, it goes back up slightly and comes down again. You can have this kind of movement. Now, within that time frame of 1 minute, it started at the point called A, went up to B, comes down again, doesn't go back up to B, it hits C, then goes back up again and comes down to D. Now, because it started from A and A is higher than D, where it stopped within that time frame of 1 minute, it's called a sell, which means on the average it has come down. On the average, starting from here, which is the open price, and now it has come down, and before that time frame was done, it had closed at a lower level compared to where it opened. So this is called the open price, this is called the close price, and the lowest level it reached is called the low price, and the highest level it ever reached within that time frame of 1 minute is called the what? The high price. So whenever you see a candle body, a candle, what you are seeing is 4 different prices. You're saying the high price, open price, close price, and the low price. Now, because the open price is higher than the close price, it actually signifies a sell candle, which means this candle is signifying the average cumulative micro movement of the market in 1 minute time frame. If this was a 15 minute time frame candle, it would signify the average cumulative micro movement of the market in 15 minutes. If this was a 5 minute time frame candle, it will signify the average cumulative micro movement of the market in 5 minutes. So this should be clearly understood. The reason why I'm saying it is because when you're building a robot, you can build it based on what is called ticks. So these ticks you're saying sometimes happens in 1 second or sometimes less than a second. And this is where the word slippage comes in. And how do you use slippage to build high accuracy robots? We'll talk about that in the paid classes, because they are robots with high, very, very high accuracy. So when you see that this market has moved, this is actual movement of the market, but what you are saying is this is a micro movement of the market in ticks, but this is what you see in the charts. For the buy candle, you have the exact opposite. market starting at A, it tries to go up but falls back down to B, goes up to C and falls down back to D. So you realize that the open price level is A, but it came down, the lowest level was B, the lowest price level was B. It went up again to C and created a new highest price level of C and comes down and closes at D at the end of 1 minute time frame before the next candle is formed, is started again. So this is the exact movement, and because it started at the lower level, the open price is actually lower than when it closed. You can call this a buy candle. So you see that every time you see a candle, what you're seeing is a representative of the summation of micro movements of the markets. So let's go and define our strategy. Like I said, I will show you how to build a very simple robot. MA crossing is the simplest robot you can build anytime, anywhere. But the truth is, it might not be as effective as you want because you have to add up a lot to the coding to ensure that it's actually giving you sustainable profit. Let me blow your mind. Every strategy can produce money from the markets. Every strategy, it depends on how you optimize it. So the optimization is the actual work in building a robot. This aspect can be easily done even by somebody who has no knowledge about coding. But how do you make it make good profit? That's the question. So for instance, let's go to the chart. So today we'll run an exhibition with 2 MA simple moving average. So let me first input the simple moving average. Let's use 10 on the red, simple moving average. To be applied to the close prices, you can see the different prices I showed you. Okay, then let's apply it again. Let's use 50. So we're using MA10 crossing MA50. So let's use a green color. Zero shift, simple, and still to the close price. So this is the 2 MAs, which is MA10, MA50. So this is the sell signal basically. So our sell signal is when the MA10 crosses below the MA50, and if that opposite happens where the MA10 crosses above, you can see it is above the MA50, then it's a buy signal. So we're going to use this as the sell signal when MA10 crosses below MA50, and when it crosses above the MA50 is then the buy signal. So that is what we're using as a clear example in this particular. This is a very clear example. As you can see that the MA10 has just crossed above the MA50. Now there are 2 ways of getting this done. You can get this done in 2 ways, and I'll show you. But there is a high accuracy method of doing this, such that whenever this crossing happens on this chart, you can get a signal to your phone, or you can get a message, or you can even move the message, the signal to Telegram, or you can actually let the robot trade on your behalf, pick that trade, initiate a buy instantly as this is happening. So we can actually define the precision at which we want this to happen, and on doing that, convert it to robot, and robot will do all the trading for you. So this is a buy signal basically. So like I said, you need to build a picture, visual picture of what the strategy is with high accuracy, then begin to code it. So first of all, we have to now translate this. So what does it mean? This is the green. The green is going this way. Look at it. It's stroking this way, which is this, and the red is stroking this way, which is this. Now the green is MA50 and it is MA10. Like I said, there are 2 methods you can actually use to code this. The first method is this. You can use a logic that says whenever the MA10 is above the MA50, which is this case, the robot should execute a buy condition. Yes, but the disadvantage to that is it does that all the time that the MA10 is above MA50, and that does not necessarily mean it is crossing, because a crossing point is signified by when the MA50 was, look at it here, MA50 was above MA10, and later MA10 was not above MA50. Or you can say that before, or when MA50 was above MA10, and when MA50 was below MA10 can signify a crossing point or a junction. This is like a junction, a crossing point on the chart. So you can see that if I just go and code that MA10 is higher than MA50, I've not necessarily signified the crossing point or the junction on the chart. No. To signify the crossing point or the junction, I must know that it is a 5-minute time frame, yes. I must know that in the previous 5 minutes, MA50 was higher than MA10. And in the current 5 minutes, MA10 is higher than MA50. I have not signified a crossing junction, a crossing point. So I'm very precise in doing this. Very, very precise. So whenever there's a crossing point, like most of you that want to trade with stochastic, RSI, those are robots that always have crossing points. You know, you can actually do this. Or the ROVI. Okay. So this, I have not translated this crossing point to this understanding. Now this is the knowledge I will now translate into the robot, because I can use this to actually pick a crossing point with high precision. Very high precision. Now the next thing to define the sell trade, like I told you that when the MA10 is going below, crosses and is going below the MA50, that could be a sell condition or a sell signal. So in this place, how do we translate this? This is translation that before the MA10 was above MA50, but now the MA50 is above MA10, and when the robot sees this, that before and after is just the exact opposite, what does it do? It sees that that's a junction, and this is a junction, and instantly it executes what? A sell trade. So this should be clearly understood. So this is what we are going to code into the robot, and when we code into the robot, you realize that whenever there is a crossing, it can either send you a signal or instantly execute a trade. So in trying to get this done, first of all, I have to define the input parameters. Like I told you before, the input parameters here could be the period, could be the type of moving average, as well it could be the shift. So sometimes it takes more, up to 3 or 4 input parameters for the MA for moving averages. Yes, up to three parameters on the average. And then I will calculate the values. Now what does it take in also? It will use the prices on the chart to now calculate the moving average values. Now when it calculates it, it now uses a logic to analyze this data. This becomes a data. It begins to analyze the MA. So once it realizes that these conditions are met, it will instantly execute the trade according to what it is designed to do. So if I tell you to sell at this crossing, because it has to calculate this, calculate 2 of them, and when it realizes this crossing happens, it will instantly execute the trade. Then the next thing is to command it to execute the trade, and the additional aspect will be how to manage the trade, and that will go into the paid classes. I will teach you several strategies you can use to manage a trade. You can even build a robot that picks trades without stop loss or take profit. Now we do this a lot of time because the brokers try to manipulate the market. Now when they want to manipulate your account as a trader, they always watch your stop loss and your take profit. So they manipulate it such that they will begin to increase the spread when you're getting close to your stop loss or getting close to your take profit, so you don't actually hit your take profit, and they ensure that your trade goes to hit your stop loss. So a lot of time when we build this robot, we don't input the stop loss and take profits to show on the trades. but we can do it on the back end such that the robot understands the time to close the trade. So it's a little bit becoming more confusing for the brokers to actually manipulate a trade that they cannot see the stop loss or the take profit. You can see that managing trade or trade management is actually a different ballgame from building a robot, like I've said earlier. So now let's go straight to our MQL4. We're going to build a robot using coding. Then I'll take you to the non-coding environment and we'll build the same exact robot, and you come to understand the simplicity and get this done. Alright, let's go there. So MQL4, you click this, you can see that symbol there, just click it, meta codes, language editor. When you click it, it opens the MQL4 trading environment. So you come up here where you have the file, you click it, and you open a new project. Next, so let's call it 2MA crossings. 2MA crossings robot. Okay, so that's it. So I won't be needing a lot of things here. Possibly when we are doing a more advanced, we need all of that. So the first thing I will do, like I said, to define the input parameters. The parameters and what shall we be using? So we use what's called the command called input. For bringing in integers, we're using the period basically. So there are two periods, MA50 and MA10. So I'll call MA10 period. That will be equals to 10. And the next input, the form of the integer form, 50 till a period 50. Since that is done, we come straight to the onTick function. So the onTick function is where on every tick, let me explain properly. First of all, we'll be needing all of this. OnTick function is where it actually executes the logic of every trade. So this is the OnTick. So on every tick, it calls that function, makes this tick, it calls that function. So you see that every time it's making a micro movement of the market, it's calling that function called the OnTick function. So we use an OnTick function to ensure that it's highly, very accurate and very sensitive. So the first thing we'll do, let's define a signal. So when this signal is buy or sell, signal should be empty for now. That signal is buy or sell. It will initiate a trade based on that signal. So we're going to first of all calculate the moving averages, values of the moving averages. Okay, so first of all, what are we to calculate and how do we do it? This is the current candle. Now the current candle is signified as 0, the previous candle 1, and the candle before the previous candle is 2. So we'll continue that way, 3, 4, 5. So that is how it's counted backwards. So if I want to signify this particular candle, I use this specific number. So if, for instance, the market is currently here, it means this will be 0, then this will be 1, 2, 3. The market is now here, it is 0, 1, 2, 3. So it depends. Now since the crossing is this, it means that this is the crossing. So this spot is here and this red is here at the spot. So this spot where we have this particular candle, it means that when this candle is closing, as this candle is about to open at the spot, that is where it picks that trade. So what are we doing in essence? This will be 0, this will be 1, and this will be 2. So it means that we are saying that when MA MA10.1 is higher than MA51, and also when MA52 is higher than MA10.2, it should pick a trade called buy. So first of all, it will generate a signal called buy, then later we'll convert that signal to a buy trade. So to calculate it, we have to first of all define parameters, and we're going to define MA10. We're going to have MA10.1, and this will be equals to which what is called an inbuilt function called IMA, and we put that, helps you with the parameters automatically. So we'll use the symbol on the chart automatically. Use the symbol on the chart, the period on the chart as well. The period chart means the time frame, if it is 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Then that integer period is our period up here. So we have MA10. I'm calling it, to see that automatically calls it because I'm actually in line. Then the shift, are we using a shift? No, for now we're using 0. Then the method, we use mode to call the method. The type of MA, we have different types. We're using SMA, which is a simple moving average, not the exponential. Then it's asking us for the kind of price we want to do. So we'll start that by putting price. So we're using either close, high, low. So let's use the close. So the integer shift here signifies the candle itself. Is it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Which are the candles? So looking at candle 1. Are you seeing that? So we're done with this. Then we have to now calculate the MA for candle 2, MA10 for candle 2. So only changes to 2, everything remains the same. So we're going to repeat the same thing now for MA50. We'll calculate MA50 now. So we'll come here, and we're doing it for the first one first, which is candle 1. Then we go down, period will be different. This will be 50, and also we're talking about candle 1. So now this is okay. Then we have to repeat this. Okay. We have to repeat this for candle 2, MA50 candle 2. Only change this to 2. Okay, so we just finished calculating each of the MAs we need. We need the MA10 candle 1, MA10 candle 2, MA50 candle 1, and MA50 candle 2. So what do we need next? The next thing is to actually define the signal. So we have to define logic for the signal. Define logic for signals, because to generate 2 signals, right? So how do we do that? We use what we call the if function. Now let's go and check it out what it means again. So you realize that when MA10.1 is higher than MA51, and also MA52 is higher than MA10.2, it means generates the buy signal, and the opposite will be the reverse, or the sell signal, where the MA51 is higher than the MA10.1, and also the MA10.2 is higher than the MA52. It will generate what is called the sell signal. If function will check out when MA10 for the buy, let's get the buy condition, is greater than MA50 for 1, and also that's same MA50 now, MA50 52 is greater than MA10 for 2. So that defines the buy condition. So this, you tell it to develop a signal make signal equals to buy. So to make the signal equals to buy, okay, so that's that for that. Now how to develop the sell signal now? We'll say when MA50 let me just remind you first before I get the sell signal. So how do we get the sell signal? Sell signal states that when MA50 is higher, MA51, sell signal says when MA51 is higher than MA101, and when MA102 is higher than MA52. That is the sell signal. So let's go back to our if function. It says that when MA51, that's it, is greater than MA101, and when MA102 is greater than MA52, it should generate signal and call this signal sell. Okay, so that's that for that. And the next thing is we're actually going to trade. We're going to trade the signals. Yes, we'll trade the signals automatically. So we'll tell the robot to execute these trade signals. So how do we get that done? So also use the if function and say, for instance, if the signal, let me give that some space. If the signal that you see is equals to, for instance, let's start with buy, is equals to buy, and no orders are open. So orders total means no orders are opened, is equals to 0. So when it sees that, it automatically sends a buy signal. So what we're going to do here is define, so go order send. So order send, you should send an order, and what is the parameters of this order? So you should send it for the symbol on the chart, which means the open symbol on the chart. So the question is it going to buy or sell? So you open a buy trade, then the volume 0.01, which is the lot size. Then you should use the ask, since we're talking about buy, you should use ask price as a reference, entry price. Slippage, I mostly use 3. The stop loss, you can use ask as a reference, and since we are buying, we have to subtract, let's say 20 pips, or use the points now. So sorry, this might be too fast, but if you want to actually do this, you can join the pay class and you do it possibly faster than I have done it here. So still using 20 pips again. Okay, 20 pips. Then the magic number sometimes I use imaginary magic numbers. Is there an expiring date? No expiring date. And what else again? Color. We need a color. Let's choose something. Since we're talking about buy, let's use blue, and we're done with that. So you should execute this. Very simple. And what if it's a sell signal, and let's what if the signal is equals to sell? What should they do? And let's assume there's no open trade. So we're actually doing this where there's no already where orders total, which means there's no open trade at all. Yes, it also equals to 0. What should it do? So it means that it's not going to open more than one trade at a time. So if it's only buy, and just one trade. So actually, on the paid class, I'll show you how that can be done with high accuracy, because sometimes might even open more than one trade. So if that's the case, we just come and edit it, and I'll show you how to get that done. So we'll use a lot size of 0.01, and since we are selling, we use what is called bid as reference, and also our slippage 3. In this case, since we are going to get stop loss, we have to add it. Let's use the same 20 pips, and we'll use the point as a reference. That is actually easier. Okay, then we'll use bid as reference again to get the take profit. So we're using 20 pips. I'll show you how that is calculated in the paid class. Very easy. Then in this case, what would be, we can actually use the same number, but I always make it slightly different. Then is there any expiring date? For now, no. And let's use possibly red on this, and that's that. So with just few minutes, you've actually built a code. Don't forget to get that done. Confirm the brackets, and then we can compile. So with just few minutes, you've actually built code, simple robots. You've coded a simple robot in a few minutes that will trade based on the MA10 crossing MA50 and setting trade condition. Alright, thank you very much. So actually, I will now go in to the non-coding environment and do exactly the same thing. Okay guys, so now I will take you to the non-coding environment. So simply go to fxdreema.com. So on fxdreema, you can actually get this done simpler and faster, but it's actually easier, especially when you understand, first of all, understand the coding. So when you understand, you have good knowledge about the coding, or simple knowledge about the coding, you can get this done faster. So we are actually building MQ4 robot, don't forget. So we'll actually use that to get it done. If you're registered straight to the spot, you can just log in. So now I'm logged in, I go to the builder. So that is my last robot. So let me build a new project altogether called MQL4 create. So let's first of all get the name. If you remember, the last name we used was MA2MA crossing robot. So we'll use something similar here. To MA crossing robots, and this is by fxdreema. So we're done. Now we're done. So now we're done. First of all, what do we do? So I have to start where there is no trade, because if you remember, we used If you remember, we used a condition where there is no trade, and that is orders total equals to 0. Because first of all, if there's no trade open and this signal comes up, it will pick it, it will actually trade, execute the trade. So we have to ensure there is absolutely no trade at all. And if that is the case, what's next step? So next step is, like I told you, there has to be an input parameter, and also we need to have a condition. So why this is quite easy is because you can actually set it up instantly on the logic. So I can go straight to the logic and set up the input parameter from there. So don't forget that we used two major logics. Here we use two major logic. If you look at it, guys, two major logics. You can see that for the buy and the sell signal, because the logic is absolutely different. So if the logic is actually the same, you can use just one logic if it's the same you're using for a buy and sell signal. So in this case, we use two different logic. Now we're using an indicator moving average, yes. Okay, this actually defaults. Now let's get back to the strategy again before we fill in this information. So the buy signal is saying MA10.1 is greater than MA51, and also MA52 is greater than what? MA10.2. So if that is the case, it will signal buy. Alright, so it means we need one condition to suit this, next condition to suit this, and it picks this point for a buy. So basically means we have to get another condition again. So there will be two conditions for one signal on both ends. So first of all, let's get this done. So it says that for the buy condition, MA10.1 is greater than MA51. So let's use this as the 1, which means we have to change the candle to 1 on both ends, on both sides. Yeah, that's 1. Then if that's the case, this is MA10 be higher than MA50, and the type of MA, remember we use simple moving average, and that is it. And the price type we used was close, so it's close on both ends. So I think this is very good. So MA10.1 will be greater, you can see that, greater than MA51. Very simple and very straightforward, and you simply update. Okay, do the same thing for here. For here, we use the second candle moving backwards, which is 2. So this is MA50. It says MA50. Second condition was MA52 being greater than MA10.2, both simple moving averages, and we've used the greater symbol there, and this is fine, good to go. We update. So you have to connect these two, which means once the first condition is met, which is when MA10.1 is higher than MA51, it then checks that is MA52 also greater than MA10.2, and if that's the case, this loop will be successful. And that is a loop. When there is no trade, it checks for this loop if it will be successful. Else, it also checks the next loop. So what will be the content of the next loop? Let's go check the sell condition. So what is the sell condition? The sell condition says that MA51 will be greater than MA10.1, and also MA10.2 will be greater than MA52. So that is the sell condition. So the moment it sees this sell condition, instantly you know a crossing has happened and it takes a sell trade. So we have MA51 being greater than the MA10-1, both simple moving averages using the close price. You can see how easy that was done. You update. Then the next condition says that the MA10-2 is greater than the MA52, both using simple moving averages and close price. So you update as well. So once this first condition is met, which means the MA51 is greater than MA10-1, to instantly confirm if the next condition is also met, which is when the MA10-2 is greater than the MA52. And if that is the case, it means that this is what is active. So you connect it again. Sorry, you can actually delete that. Still connect it again to here. So when you do this, when you're connecting from no trade to two different conditions, either of them will be executed. That's the meaning. Because if I use one condition, I'm saying if it's just one condition, it should take that, execute that trade. So it will execute either of this or this. So which of them is successful to go to the next level and ask the next question again. So the next thing is actually to pick the trades, to trade now. So you've seen that we've actually crossed virtually all of this, and we are now at the spot where we'll confirm the signal and pick the trade. So we'll go here, and now it's a buy now. We're not going to use pending orders, we just go and buy instantly, or we are actually selling one of the above. So this is the next action to take, right? Or this will be the next action to take. Alright, so what was the volume we used? Don't forget we used 0.01 lot size. Then in terms of pips, remember we used 20 for stop loss and 20 for take profits. You can see how straightforward that is. Okay, then you update to see how straightforward it is. So we're executing exactly what is written down here. Exactly what's written down here. That's a buy, and now go for the sell. So you update, and you do the same thing here. 0.01 as a lot size. We have 20 pips for stop loss and 20 pips for take profit. We update. So basically we are done. Like we are done building this robot. We are expecting two robots to do exactly the same thing with coding and no coding. So I will simply extract this. How do I extract it? Very simple. You can extract it at the MQL4 format or the executional file format. So let's get this. You click it once and it downloads. That's it, ready to be used. Ready to be used. So on this video, I've simply showed you how to build a simple robot. Don't forget, this robot might pick trades, and you need to understand that this is not good enough basically to trade in the market and make good profits. This is just for illustrative purpose. Like I said earlier, you want to actually go higher or do better or code more sophisticated robots. You can actually subscribe to the paid classes. One is intermediate and the other is advanced, and there's no how you go through the advanced classes and you're not building robots that are killing the market and making massive profits. That's the essence of the paid advanced class. Okay guys, so let's test out the two robots and see we'll have the same exact performance. So this is what the one built by fxdreema. I copy it, I come to file, go to folder, MQL4 experts, and I'll drop it in here, Control V, and that's it. So this is one built using fxdreema, and this one built using the raw code. You can see the size, the file difference in terms of size is so significant, so you understand that. So now let's use our strategy tester to observe if there is a significant difference. So let's test out the one built using MQL4 raw code, which is this. So let's start. So we're trying to see if we're going to have the same result, which means does the two coding give the same result basically. That's what we're trying to confirm. Routine, this is how a routine robot looks like when you build a robot that's not so sophisticated or well developed. Okay, so net profit is minus $22. That's net profit. Alright, so let's check again for the one we built using fxdreema. Okay, that's it. So let's give it a try again. So we're trying to observe if we have exactly the same results to confirm that what we've coded is very, very accurate. Now this same robot will be optimized. I will optimize this particular robot and show you the backtesting performance. You compare it to and you realize the power of robot optimization. Okay, exactly the same net profit, same gross profit. So you can see that two robots are exactly the same, but one was built with coding and the other without coding. Alright, so don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also click the notification link, so whenever I upload a video you also get the notification. And I want to share this video to your friends and family and be part of the better 2022, which is the year of making money in dollars. In this year, I expect every one of you to make money in dollars with ease. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Bye.